Hi everyone, and welcome to today's live Q&A. Sorry, not Q&A, my Wardrobe My Way webinar. So we're delighted that so many of you have been able to join us today for this new webinar that we're doing as part of our textile waste prevention campaign called My Wardrobe My Way. So my name is Kirsty and I'll be leading today's session. I'll also have my two colleagues, Paloma and Val, who will be in the wings supporting. If there's any problems, please just let them know in the chat function and they'll respond to you on there. So I'm also delighted to be socially distanced with our guest speaker here today, Ander Zabala. So Ander is Hackney Council's recycling manager and a North London resident. So over the last several years, he's taken up a massive lifestyle challenge to reduce the amount of waste that he produces. And he's done this really successfully by doing lots of practical things, such as growing his own food and cutting down on the packaging on the products that he buys. And it was also recently featured in The Guardian for producing as little as 1 jar of waste per month. And building on this now, he's taken on our challenge here at NLWA to design his own capsule wardrobe as part of the My Wardrobe My Way challenge. So we're going to hear from him shortly. And we'll just move on to the next slide. So just a quick reminder, you might not be able to access your video or microphone, but just in case, this is our first Teams Live experience. We normally do it in a different way. So if you are able to access a microphone or video, please make sure those are turned off. You should be able to have a chat function feature on today's live. And in that, you can ask your questions. We will be doing a question and answer later on, mostly to Ander to just kind of learn a bit more about his experience. But say hello, introduce yourselves, pop your questions in there, and we'll get back to you at that point in today's webinar. And then if there's any questions that we might not know the answer to, or we need to kind of research a little bit more and get back to you on that, we've also got our email address at the end of this slide, at the end of the presentation slides. So we will get back to you as well, so if we can't cover everything today. So just to set the scene for why we're delivering this webinar today. So My Wardrobe My Way, as I mentioned, is a campaign that's being delivered as part of the work that we do on textile waste prevention. Textile waste is an enormous issue. I'm sure you probably know. It's not only an issue in North London, it's a massive global issue. The textile industry is one of the most polluting and wasteful industries on earth. And although it might seem like a mammoth challenge that we do nothing about, actually there are steps that we can take in our everyday lives to help make a difference. So for some people, the social and environmental impacts of the fast fashion industry may have never been a consideration, but that's okay. That's why you're here today. Hopefully you'll learn a little bit more. And by getting rid of clothes when we're done with them and what happens to them, it's really important to consider that. And that's why I want to focus this campaign on one simple action, really, that we can take to make a difference to that issue of textile waste. So the simple action that we are calling for through this campaign is to ask people to take stock of the clothes that they already own. So it's as simple as that. Having a look in your wardrobe, seeing what you do use and what maybe you don't use, and trying to get them back out into circulation because they're a really valuable resource. So there are tons of new clothes produced annually around the world each and every year, and there are tons of useful clothes locked up in our wardrobe. So there's lots happening throughout this campaign. We had our live on Facebook on Monday, and we'll be talking to you a little bit more about some of the other stuff that's going on as part of our campaign, which runs all the way through till the end of August. So as part of the campaign, we actually challenged Ander to create his very own capsule wardrobe. And so before we hear from him, let's talk a little bit more about what a capsule wardrobe actually is. Because it is a bit of a buzzword and it's good to just kind of break it down and explain it in some more simple terms. So Before we do that, though, I'm going to give you a quick summary about NLWA, and again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the textile industry and some of the key facts that we do know. So to put it simply, a capsule wardrobe, and we're going to talk about this a lot throughout the webinar, is a collection of clothing that has purpose, driven by personal style and preference. And it's really important that it's focused on your lifestyle. So not every capsule wardrobe will be the same naturally. So you'll know when you have one, when you open your wardrobe and you realise that actually everything inside it is something that you want to wear or can mix and match and wear at different points. And there's a massive satisfaction that comes with this. So as I mentioned, we'll surely be hearing from Ander himself about the process that he undertook and some of the things that he learned during his experience of creating his own capsule wardrobe. And I expect you might have some questions for him as to how he did this, and we will pop over to the chat section, the Q&A, to answer those later on. So NLWA, who are we and what do we do? So the North London Waste Authority is also known as NLWA, and it's a statutory waste disposal authority for 7 North London boroughs, as you can see on the map on the right. So if you live in one of those boroughs, we do cover your area. And a key priority for us at NLWA is to arrange for the recycling and treatment for most of these boroughs, managing the reuse and recycling centres and promoting waste minimisation and recycling. So why do we need to take action? Next slide, please. Amazing, thank you, Paloma. So, as I mentioned before, the textile waste industry is obviously a huge global issue, and there have been quite a few studies that have been carried out to explore the situation specifically in the UK. It's estimated between 80 and 100 billion pieces of clothing are produced globally each year. And then in the UK, over 200,000 tonnes of textile waste are produced each year. And only 25% of those are reused or recycled, which is pretty shocking. And I'm not sure if this section is going to work, because as I said, this is our first time using Teams Live, but we'll give it a go. So you can head over to the chat function, everyone, and see if this works. If it doesn't, we'll give you the answer anyway. So I'll give you a minute to have a guess, have a look and see if that's working. So our question to you guys is, can you guess the average value of clothes that a UK household owns? Can you guess the average value of clothes that a UK household owns? And so let's have a quick look and see if that's been successful. No, so sorry about that. So the average UK household, hopefully you guess in your head anyway, is about £4,000 worth of clothes, which is a huge amount of money. And around 30% of clothing in the average wardrobe has not been worn for at least a year. And I can definitely say I'm guilty of that with certain items of clothing. And then again, how many pieces of clothing do you think will be discarded after lockdown? So research has been done to estimate how much clothing will be discarded after lockdown. Sorry, I think the Q&A isn't working. 3 new. Oh, thank you for putting your answers in there. Great. And so the answer to that one is 67 million clothes could have been discarded by UK homes in the upcoming months, which is huge. 2 in 5 Britons have admitted having a clothing clear out during lockdown. Naturally, they might have had more time on their hands and things like that. And most people are storing items for charity donations. I suppose that's if the local charity shop isn't open yet, so they're getting it ready to do that. So we know from these research findings that there's lots of use. There's a lot of use for these textiles that are locked up in people's wardrobes, but we continue to mass produce every year, creating new clothes all of the time at a really huge rate, and this has obviously environmental impacts. And there's also a big risk that when we do get rid of these clothes, that we'll throw them in the rubbish bin, meaning that they can't be reused or recycled, which is a massive waste. And as you can see on the chart here, the split of how these textiles are currently being disposed of in the UK, and you can see nearly 40% are actually being incinerated or going to landfill, which is really sad because some of those items could hopefully have been reused. Right, so head over to the next slide now. And It's the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for. We're going to speak to our guest, Ander. So, hi, Ander.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and more importantly, for taking on this challenge of creating your own capsule wardrobe. If you don't know Ander, which is just crazy, I'm joking. We've been glued to his Instagram feed, and we will share that in the chat function later on if you do want to check out his zero waste account. And it looks like you've done such a great job. Absolutely love the content that you've created, and you'll see a little bit of that in a minute. But yeah, so what inspired you to take on our challenge, My Wardrobe, My Way challenge?
Hi, Kirsty and everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to talk today. I feel like be like a celeb. But yeah. So I first, for those that don't know me, I've been a recycling manager for a while now. I've been working in the recycling industry as well for nearly 2 decades. But in 2019 is when I started to really look down at how much I can reduce my waste. So I started to look at the zero waste movement. There's a lot of stuff online, and it doesn't mean that you reduce your waste, you also reduce your recycling. And the zero waste just basically means that you change your concept, your behaviors. So I started to focus on packaging waste, but then inevitably I moved on to clothes because I did have pieces of clothes that I could recycle, but I wasn't really happy that I still had that kind of waste at home. So I started to look online. I read a lot of blogs online. I watched a lot of documentaries. I kind of knew that the problem with the industry, the fashion industry, but I wasn't really that clued up, and perhaps I didn't want to know because then I will have to change my behavior.
Yeah,
so it's
of course.
that kind of guilt. And so I watched True Cost in Netflix. I'm sure many attendees have watched that. If you haven't, I'll suggest that you watch it. And then, because I felt guilty buying new clothes, I started to buy less clothes. I started to buy secondhand on eBay, on charity shops, beyond retro. But then there's other materials that I wanted to buy firsthand. So basically started to look at sustainable materials like cotton. I felt quite guilty to know that that inorganic cotton is quite responsible for a lot of child labor in different countries in the world. And so your challenge actually came out at the right time because I thought, oh, great. I got all these office clothes. I really want to do the clear out, but I don't understand these buzzwords with capsule wardrobe. Is this something that the hipsters do? So I went also just to, as a note, I feel like I'm not into the fashion industry myself, so I'm quite a regular man of North London. So I started to look online, and literally that's why I accepted your challenge.
Great. That's, yeah, of course. And it's actually really refreshing to hear from a male's perspective, because I feel like when we talk about the fashion industry and sustainable fashion, it does tend, in my experience, tend to be focused on female clothing, or a lot of charity shops. I know people say that it's a lot harder to find male clothing. I don't know why that is, but it's so it is quite refreshing to hear from you as well. And we will have other females as part of our campaign, so it's good to vary it up. So tell me a little bit more about how you get on. I'm really excited to hear about your journey and your experience of it. So we're just gonna move on to the next slide now and look at some of your great content that you've produced as part of being part of it. And how did you get on, Ander?
So the first thing was, I don't know what capsule wardrobe mean. So I looked online, I looked at YouTube, and I was like, okay, I need to do it my way. There's a lot of advice, and a lot of it is for women. So I was trying to find out what was right for me. So the idea is that you reduce the amount of items that you have in your wardrobe, so that it's so much easier just to get out of the house, and it's easier to travel. When before lockdown, or when I used to go and see my parents in Spain, I was I really stressed out about the number of combinations. So the idea is to reduce your clothes. So I did it my way. I dumped all the clothes on my bed. I kind of had a little scream. My husband was thinking, what the hell are you doing? It's all such a mess. And it will be a mess at first. So I had piles of piles I don't like. Why the hell did I buy this in the first place?
Yeah.
And the bits that it doesn't fit. I guess my body shape hasn't changed much over the last years, but there are some items I've been keeping because I was quite attached. But then I was looking at it. Actually, it doesn't fit. I don't want it. So then I had the maybes. The piles that I didn't want, I took them to charity. I washed them first, obviously. So my way of dealing with, but what about this? What about maybe I will need this? So what I did is I put it on my maybe box, out of sight, out of mind, because I thought if I don't miss it, I won't use them.
You don't think about it or need to wear it during that time that you're kind of giving. That's exactly a really good idea.
So having all the clothes, the ones I wanted to keep, actually started doing the kind of outfits and see what it looked like. And then Instagram came out with this new feature, Reels, which makes it really easy to do the combination of the clothes. So if you want to press that again, you can see the type of combination clothes you can have. So with 23 outfits, so I got 23 outfits out of 16 items. So 2 shorts, 1 pair of jeans, 1 crop trousers, 3 shirts, 2 vests, 6 tops, and 1 jacket. And to be honest, I never really found that I will be doing this myself, but I found that really, really useful to have that. I have like a record of my clothes and that combination.
Exactly. So you took photo, obviously you've taken photos, and we can see those on the right there. So it's really helpful. Thank you. And when you say that reel thing on Instagram is really easy, to me that looks professional, and I have no idea how to do it. So
I can tell you
might be easy for you.
I can tell you that the phone was on top of the ironing board.
Great, thank you so much, Ander. And so yeah, there are some really, really great tips. And now we're going to move on to I'm going to ask a few questions to begin with, because I've got some burning questions for you, and then let's move on to the question and answer part of the session. And hopefully some of you guys have written in some questions for Ander, or maybe want to know a little bit more about how he created his capsule wardrobe. So I'm going to begin by asking you, what was the most difficult part of the challenge for you?
Okay, first of all, understanding what capsule wardrobe means to you, to yourself.
Right.
So like I said before, there's a lot of things going on YouTube. And you kind of, when you see 1 or 2, you kind of feel this is not for me, because the type of people are perhaps different attitudes to mine. So it was pushing through that, and just to keep going, that the main thing is about reducing the number of items you have in the wardrobe. And the second bit was the maybes. It's so hard to detach yourself from the maybes, that they're there. I don't know how long they've been there, 10 years. So I'm hoping after like a month or 2 that I won't be opening that box, and I will be giving those away as well. It kind of shows that we don't need that many items. Yeah, that's probably the hardest.
Great. And next question from me will be, so how do you think that you're going to maintain your capsule wardrobe going forward?
Well, the wardrobe looks so tidy now. So it's. I need to make sure that I don't fill it up with more stuff, which is the whole point about the capsule wardrobe. But I found categorizing and taking photos of the clothes something actually quite useful. It sounds quite a project manager kind of thing to do, but I found it really useful. And I'm going to try that for the wardrobe for winter, because as I was doing the summer one, I was uncovering piles of winter tops that there's about 6 of them under the same thing anyway. So I just need to reduce it.
Oh, great. Thank you. That's so true about rotating your kind of summer winter wardrobe. I imagine you might want to do 2 kind of capsule wardrobes for those. It depends how much space you've got. I know I don't have a lot of space, so I tend to just put all my winter stuff into the drawers, kind of leave it there until it gets cold, and then rotate it around. So thank you. And then, did you find any clothing treasures or anything that you were surprised to find? Because I know when I sort out my wardrobe, you find things that you just forgotten about and just completely random stuff. So
I did.
What did you find?
I'm not a person that tends to spend a lot of money, but my mum does. So I did buy nice. a Ralph Lauren shirt that she bought me 10 years ago, and I can tell the quality feels so much better and thicker, and it just felt quite nice. But I never put it on, and I did it for this time. because I just it was maybe too classic. Maybe it's for maybe older generations than me. But actually, once I put it on, I actually quite liked it, and I kind of rediscovered that I.
And so do you think you'll wear that now?
Yes, I am going to.
Oh, great, cool. So I'm going to just have a check and see if there are any more questions that the listeners might want to listen to ask. Sorry. Oh no, I haven't had any just yet. And as I mentioned, guys, we are new to this Teams live, so do bear with us. But yeah, if you've got any questions, please send them through now. And if not, maybe I'll just ask some more questions myself.
Fire away.
Okay, so and so I want to ask, because I've sort of done my own capsule wardrobe. I did a Facebook Live on Monday in front of my own wardrobe, and you could see how small my wardrobe is. So I personally, I'm not really into clothes. I don't already own that many clothes, which is really helpful for doing capsule wardrobe. So I was just going to say to you, how do you like initially not start, but once you've got your piles and you know what you want to get rid of, like did you give any away? Did you? So,
I gave the piles I didn't want. They have gone to the charity
shop. Brilliant.
I'm actually the charity for my friends anyway, so my friends actually give me
oh, nice.
the tops. I think they know my title is recycling manager, so like, oh, here's some clothes. I know you don't have an issue with secondhand clothes, so I've been giving a lot of secondhand stuff for my birthday. Great. And if my friend who works in a specific shop is listening today, you can keep giving me to me because I'm sure I will look after them and give them a new secondhand. Obviously, it'll be the capsule wardrobe for autumn. It won't be for now because I already established that for this summer.
Great, and that's actually something that I do without really thinking. So yeah, it's not a fancy way of doing it, but I will take, especially if something no longer fits, it's no longer something that I wear, or I don't feel like it's my style anymore. That's usually the things that you've had for quite a while. Then I will take a picture. If I think it's going to fit or suit a certain one of my friends, ask them if they want it. And I've done that quite a lot during lockdown. I've taken photos and sent them away to them, and they've loved them and they've fit and stuff, which is always really nice when that actually happens. But that's something I've done, and it's really nice to give your clothes away. And it's the same, I don't know if you've ever been to a clothes swap, but when you bring your clothes and you see someone else picking it up and taking it away, it's like so satisfying. So I actually really enjoy that part of giving. But it's the sorting out that isn't very much the fun part.
It's not. The beginning bit is probably the most daunting thing when you have this much stuff to do
on the floor or on the bed, kind of staring at you.
But it's worth it. So that stress is worth it.
Great. So let's see if we've got any questions. We've got some hellos, and we've got a question here. Would you suggest upcycling clothes? So we haven't covered that. Great question.
My clothes, there's a good friend of mine who who lives in North London. He's done a lot of stuff on textiles, and he wants me to give him his clothes to upcycle it to make sure it fits. So this is the kind of thing, actually, if it's free, if you're listening, yes, I'll definitely do it. But obviously I will pay for it because the circular economy is very important for this kind of webinars as well. So I did repair a top of mine. So if you go to my Instagram, I'll put it in my Insta stories later. But I'm not really good at fixing my clothes. I did take my boots to the cobblers, and I was quite amazed how easy that was and how cheap it was compared to buying boots. But I did fix my recycling top, which you can see, you would have seen it on the last video when I have no pants in there. But that's the one I fixed it. And actually, it's kind of not upcycling. That was more repairing it. But I would.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's great that you know people, because not everyone can sew, not everyone can, or they're not interested in learning how to do it. That doesn't spark joy. Sorry, moving on to the next question in a minute. So yeah, no, it's great to be able to go to a menders or pay someone who's going to transform that item of clothing for you. So the next question was, is this like Marie Kondo's sparking joy threshold? Yeah, I would say so. I would say personally, I think what she does is going through her clothes, rolling it up into certain piles and making it really, really neat. And I think this is similar because when you're organized and you can see everything and you know where everything is, yes, that just makes it way easier to find an outfit, especially if you've taken the photos as well. But also, yeah, you've just got a clear mind. Like, I know some people really enjoy clutter, but yeah, do you have anything to add on that?
I will say that when you do that's the spark me joy moment with a smile and a grin while you're looking at it. You're looking at a single clothing item, but the point about the capsule wardrobe is the combination of the clothes. And I didn't realize that a shirt that I had actually created a whole new concept when I put them on my crop trousers.
Yeah.
So I think Mary Kondo is missing a point there. Is sparking joy of a combination of clothes, not the single item. So to me, having that actually kind of make me see that I did have more combinations than I had, but
it's forced you to try those out, and now you'll have new outfits, which is great. So someone else said, I've just moved into a studio flat after wandering around the world. I don't know if there's a second part to that question, but I imagine you're going to have to be particularly conscious of the amount of clothing you have if you're in a small space. I too live in quite a small flat and have to share my little rail with my partner. So again, it's so much nicer than when you know what you've got, you can see it, you can throw it on. So next question. My problem with a capsule wardrobe is finding clothes that fit right. For example, a white t-shirt, if you have a slim waist and D+ cup, it's almost impossible to find these. So I would buy from the high street, but end up it barely fitting because it's barely wearing because it's ill-fitting. So capsule wardrobe would be great if you could find the clothes for the right body shapes in the first place. Oh, that's a good comment, and like I can see where you're coming from. I think it's harder to shop in charity shops, for example, if you've got.
I would say the same.
Yeah, definitely.
In my case, I can't find shirts that look in my mind good enough to take to work. So it's perhaps upcycling what you have already. Yes. In my case, I'm quite small body, and I find that sometimes I have to go to the kids section to actually. Wow. It's not just me. There's someone at work as well. I won't say his name, but yes, we both go to like slightly to have more slim fit. We go to different shops that cater for younger.
Exactly, and like there isn't anything. Well, I wouldn't say there isn't anything wrong with shopping on the high street. That's the wrong thing to say. But I shop on the high street sometimes. But I think the thing is, as long as you can find, like you say, if you can find stuff that fits and you know you're going to wear it for a long time. What is it? You're meant to wear an item for like 30 times, to ensure that you're getting the right use of it. So yeah, I totally can appreciate that. That must be really frustrating. And I'll move on to the next question. What's the most efficient way to get rid of clothes? Ander, over to you.
This will be so personal in a way. So, the most efficient way, I'll say, depends how much clothes you got at home. But if you want to, this is the boring side of things, but if you want to treat it like a project management, you can have a catch up, but it's really boring and not very enticing. So I love people to do this. I'll say, use a big space. In my case, the biggest clean surface was my bed. So I spread it all around into different piles. Once the piles, I've got a yes. I had a yes, and when I had the maybes, I looked at it again, and then no. I just put it in a box, and then I removed the nose, the maybes, and then spread out again the yeses all around the bed or the surface that you want to, and you should be able to have a better, clear mind to see what you have on offer to do the combinations that you want.
Great answer, thank you. And the next question is, so have some very worn items with me, and to be reunited with some old stuff from storage. So I'm not sure if that's just like a comment or a question, but yeah, it's good. Sometimes like if you've had something locked away, like I was saying, like in my drawers because it's colder, and then you bring it out, and it's good to be able to like mix and match those things. That
kind of links to what I said earlier, that you don't realize that some items that it's worn out as well. If I don't want to use it, but then once you find a combination to it, you actually realize you got a crunch look or something. It's different. So
And Deborah said, I think sending clothes overseas has caused some distortions in local markets, preventing the emergence of the local clothing industry. What is the ethical thing to do with clothes that cannot be sold here? Oh, that's a tricky one.
So I guess that will depend on the charity that you donated to. I know that trade, I don't think they sell it to different countries, and it's mainly kept in the UK. That's because there's a market for it. But it is true that some items there's no market for it. What I don't know. That's a tricky question.
Yeah. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Someone said, so I'm about to embark on the sorting out. Yay, we've already inspired one person to start sorting.
Use the hashtag
creating
online.
Yeah, we've got a hashtag at the end of this, so if you do want to share it on social media, please do, and we'll go to that in a minute. So unfortunately, Yasmin hasn't been able to sign into Teams. I'm sorry, Yasmin. Really sorry about that. I'm really like I said, this is our first time doing Teams Live, so I think we have had a couple of issues, and we'll try and sort that out for the next webinars. We'll have loads coming up in September, so hopefully you can join those. Do message me or email waste prevention team, and she probably can't hear this actually, but we'll try and get that sorted out for you for the next webinar. So next question is, how do you manage if you prefer patterns and less plain clothes?
So this, to me, I started to develop a preference for plain clothes. Some people might find it boring, but that's obviously, this is your own personal taste and style. But I ended up saying I prefer plain clothes because I feel like they match all the types of clothes. So you need less clothes to match the plain clothes. The pattern ones tend to be more, in my mind, to me, they tend to be more obvious, and they don't match with other clothes. This is more in the sense of men's clothes, in my sense. So I go for classic plain colors. And after having done the video, I realized that I needed perhaps some bright colors. And that reminded me that I stopped buying bright colors because the colors go off a bit, and then I really want to get rid of it. As soon as it starts fading, I start getting rid of it. So,
I see.
And I started to buy more clothes. So I ended up just going plain because the colors don't shade.
So actually, I love patterns. I love a stripe. I love polka dot. I'm wearing a polka dot dress right now. And so when you say how do you manage, I think things like, for me, I'll wear a plain, I'm wearing an orange polka dot dress right now, so I put on like a grey, so balancing it out, I put on like a grey jumper to go with this, or if I was wearing a stripy shirt to work or something, I would wear black trousers to kind of balance out those colours. I think if that's what you like, if you like patterns, keep them. Make sure that anything that goes into your capsule wardrobe is something that, as someone said earlier, sparks joy and that you really love, because then you're going to wear it time and time again. So it would be great if NLWA could have a list of the Instagram accounts of people selling pre-loved clothes. Great idea. We do actually have a list on our website, so head over. We've also got this campaign, My Wardrobe My Way, has its own webpage, but we've got loads of great information about my mind's gone blank, I'm so sorry. We've got loads of information about textile waste, how you can sell your clothes, and basically we've got a list that Val has just popped up there as well with some great links. So there you go. And we've also got sorry, that's your husband's name. I was going to say Adam.
It's got Ask Ander. So
Ask Ander. It's all the A's. So Ander's also, his Instagram is on there as well. He's got his own zero waste account. Okay, so how do you think we can encourage the younger generation to move away from fast fashion? Oh, again, a really, really tricky question. I've worked alongside a campaign called Love Not Landfill, which I added to this list that we're sharing. They are focused on encouraging the younger generation, it's age 16 to 24, I believe, to reduce their fast fashion and try and consider going slightly more secondhand, swapping, things like that. So they're a great campaign. What do you think, Ander?
You need to make the benefits of why they should start buying less. But I guess fast fashion is linked to behavior change, and intrinsically when you look at zero waste, you start to look at it at mindfulness and gratitude and that kind of thing. So you need to you need to really understand why are the younger generation or any other generation buying fast fashion. So I think if you start digging deeper, there's a lot of systemic change that we need to do, not just based on the generations, but it needs to come from, in my mind, maybe it's a bit political, but capitalism, all of that needs to change a bit in order to be changing the system a bit. So it's not really just in a way our own fault that we are all made to buy this many clothes. We need to keep the economy going, and we've been told to buy lots of clothes. So we need to start looking at the circular model so we can keep the green growth without having to destroy the planet. So yeah.
Great, thank you. That's a really good answer. I honestly couldn't have answered it better myself. Thank you. I hope that helps to answer your question a little bit more. And so most capsule wardrobes are neutral colours. What if you prefer other colours? So we kind of covered that a minute ago, so we won't spend too long on this one because we've got quite a few questions. But yes, do incorporate colours. I think if you can, obviously you've got a rainbow capsule wardrobe, that's great. As long as you're happy with the items that mix and match, I think that's fine, isn't it?
I think the main point is that you don't buy a lot more clothes, and if you want to have the rainbow colors like Esther say, then keep these ones. And if you're a person that buys a lot of new colors every year, it's about maybe reducing the number of items that you have of the same color, so you have less clothes of it.
Great, I can see Yasmin's been able to sign in. Yay, I'm so glad. So glad. I was chatting away to you, Yasmin, and I realised that you couldn't hear. So you had the Marie Kondo studio apartment clothes storage comments, so that's fine. So we have answered those. And then we've got another question about so we're only going to answer a couple more because we are running out of time, guys, and we've got to close and give you more information about our campaign. But how do charity shops get rid of the clothes that they can't sell or do not sell? So for example, I'm just going to give you one example. There could be loads of different ways to do it, but just quickly so we can get through a few more questions. I would say, for example, recycling in terms of shredding the clothes to be used to make pillows, stuffing, mattresses, things like that. That's just one tiny example of how that can be done. And we've covered, if you look at our campaign page, you should be able to find a little bit more information about that as well. So
sorry, can I say that?
Yeah, please.
Before I spoke to a clothes charity, and out of for Hackney, for the 450 tons that we gave away, they reuse 92% of all those 450 tons. So it's a huge amount. So
great.
There is a market for something for here, but those that they can't sell, they recycle it into industrial garments. So they don't go to landfill because it costs the charity money to pay.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you, Ander. And then one final question from Yasmin. I feel like we owe it to you, Yasmin, because you weren't able to log in. So she watches Queer Eye, and Tan France is a huge fan of tailoring, and secondhand items can often be made to fit better. So if something fits better, you're more likely to wear it, and you've invested some money in that. Do you use tailors much, Ander?
No, but this is exactly what my husband said. You got tailored on the high road. This will fit you so much better if you just change the back bit of the jacket. So you're not the first one to say this. My husband is telling me to do it. So I think I'm going to do it. So
yeah, you've inspired him, Yasmin. Thank you. Right. Thank you so much for your questions, everyone. I think we've got through all of them. If not, do get in touch with us. We've got our email address coming up now in a second. So we'll just move on to the next final few slides. So it's been fantastic and a practical insight into tackling some of the challenges in creating the capsule wardrobe, and just kind of hearing your first-hand experience, Ander. So thank you so much. And just as a quick reminder, I'm going to go through some quick tips to take away with you today. If, like the lady or the gentleman earlier who said they were ready to start sorting out their wardrobe, if you're charged up and ready to take on our challenge, my first tip would be to be brave, tackle your wardrobe, set time aside. It does take a long time. You know yourself, if you've ever had to do a big sort out, it does take time. It can be maybe overwhelming depending on how many clothes you have, and you know, group them into piles. On our live on Monday, I think it was 5 post-it notes and I'll go into that in a minute ago. So it's like keep, sell, charity shop, anything else I'm missing, swap, give to a friend.
I got my maybes, so that's
yeah, maybe. Mine was really extensive, so it's up to you how you want to do it, but definitely, maybe, and get rid are the three main ones. So just be brave and start, I suppose. My second tip would be to know what you own and save money. So this is also a great way of, as we said, refreshing and rediscovering your wardrobe as to what you own already and what you can enjoy again, mixing it up to create those new styles. And it's just a great way to see what you've got instead of buying more. I think we're all guilty sometimes of doing that, forgetting about something, and then when you do find it, you're like, oh, I probably didn't need to buy those 3 new dresses. Not that I do that, of course, but and then my third tip would be to just embrace your style, and I've tried to cover that quite a lot, and that's part of the My Wardrobe My Way side of this campaign, is to you know, if you like a certain dress and you buy the same style over and over again, keep those as part of your capsule wardrobe. You know, you love them. The same with the colours. I know lots of people have asked about colours and patterns and styles. If that's what you love, please make it a part of your capsule wardrobe, because then you will actually wear it. And try not to be led by fast fashion. It's really difficult. Some clothes are really cheap, free delivery, but if you've got clothes that you can wear and mix it up, do try and do that a little bit more, just a little bit more. It doesn't have to be that you can't buy any new clothes at all. And I do think for some capsule wardrobes you might end up having to buy a little bit just to make sure that some of those clothes mix and match together really nicely. So finally, my fourth and final tip, fourth tip would be, is it time to say goodbye? Just remembering that those textiles should never go into the bin. Reusable clothes can be swapped with someone else, sold, donated to charity, and if they're completely past it, then recycle it. As we said, one way of recycling it is turning it into mattress filler and things like that, so it can get recycled in that way. You might not live in North London, but you might have a textile recycling bank local to you. They're normally just like these big metal bins with, they normally say what they are on side. And then if you do live in North London, take them to your local recycling centre. You can check out our website for your nearest one. We've got some textile recycling banks there. And finally, document the process. As you can see on Ander's great slides earlier, like he's took loads of photos. He's going to use them now in the future when he wants to think of things to bring on holiday, not at the moment, bring on holiday or for a certain occasion or whenever, like everyday use. You can whip out your photos and make sure and choose an outfit. So it's great. I'm rushing a little bit now because I'm wary of the time. We're coming to the end of our webinar. So yeah, it's just a good idea to kind of share as much as you can if you are getting rid of stuff as well. So with these sorts of challenges in mind, we hope that the My Wardrobe My Way campaign can support those to take real action on textile waste prevention in their own lives. And the campaign started last week and it runs till the end of August. So just quickly before we finish, I want to talk about what we've got coming up on the rest of our campaign. So on the 21st, next Friday, Natalie Davies, the Zero Waste Doc, is hosting an Instagram Live on her account for the campaign, and more details are on the webpage for that too. And then if you're a key worker or know anyone that's a key worker, you can win a professional stylist advice session with personal stylist Wendy Riggs. So do check out that competition on our webpage or our social media accounts. And then if you do want to take part, we have some hashtags that you can follow. So it's My Wardrobe My Way or WMWM hashtag. So that's so that's bringing us to the end of our webinar, and it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, Ander, and thank you so much for embracing this campaign. You've created some great photos, and just your experience of it has been really, really interesting and positive and creative. So thank you. As I said, I hope that you guys are interested in taking part as well. So visit our, I don't know if it's up on the slide just yet. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So there we go. That's our website. You can get in touch with us at communications@nlwa.gov.uk. These are our social media handles. Most of them are Connect NLWA, and these are the hashtags that you can use. If you do feel like taking part, please do tag us. That would be amazing. So that ends today's webinar. Bang on time. Well done. And thank you so much for your questions. They were super interesting. As I mentioned, if we haven't answered them, please email this email address here and we will get back to you. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ander.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Northland West Authority.
You're welcome. Thank you.